In the small frontier town of Willow Creek, where dusty roads stretched between wooden houses and the sound of horses filled the mornings, lived a young woman named Clara Hayes. Clara was 22 years old, with long chestnut brown hair, gentle hazel eyes, and a quiet strength that few people noticed at first. She lived in a small, weather-beaten house at the edge of town with her father, Thomas Hayes, and her two younger brothers, Samuel and Noah. Thomas had once been one of the strongest ranch hands in Willow Creek, but years of hard labor had weakened his body. Even so, he worked whenever he could because he wanted his children to have a better life than he had known. Clara was deeply attached to her father, and every evening they sat together on the front porch while Thomas told her stories about the old days, when he had traveled across the West searching for work and dreaming of owning a small piece of land. A man doesn't need to be rich to be proud, Thomas often told her. If he can protect the people he loves and keep his word, he already owns something money cannot buy. Clara always smiled when he said that, never imagining how soon those words would become the foundation of her life. One cold autumn morning, Thomas left the house before sunrise to work at a distant ranch. He had been feeling weak for several weeks, but he refused to stay home. Clara stood at the doorway watching him ride away on an old brown horse. "Come home early, Pa," she called. Thomas turned in the saddle and smiled. "I will, sweetheart." Those were the last words Clara ever heard him speak. That afternoon, a rider came rushing into Willow Creek with terrible news. Thomas had collapsed while repairing a fence. By the time the ranch owner and two other workers carried him to the house, there was nothing anyone could do. Thomas Hayes had died suddenly from the illness that had been quietly weakening his heart. When Clara heard the news, the world seemed to stop. She ran to the ranch and found her father lying beneath a white sheet. For a long time she simply stood beside him, unable to breathe, unable to cry. Then she touched his cold hand and whispered, "You promised you'd come home." The funeral was small because the Hayes family had little money. Thomas was buried on a hill overlooking Willow Creek, beneath an old cottonwood tree. Clara stood beside the grave with Samuel and Noah on either side of her, holding their hands tightly. Samuel was only 14 and Noah was 9. Both boys were frightened because they understood that the person who had always protected them was gone. After the funeral, Clara returned home and discovered something that made her grief even heavier. There was almost no money left. The small savings her father had kept for emergencies had been spent on medicine and food during his final weeks. The house needed repairs, the roof leaked, and winter was approaching. There was also a debt at the general store. That night, Clara sat at the kitchen table while her brothers slept in the next room. She counted the coins they had left. $1.17. She stared at the money for a long time before wiping her tears. She knew she could not collapse. Her father had spent his entire life protecting his children, and now it was her turn to protect them. The next morning Clara walked into town, wearing her father's old work boots because her own shoes had holes in them. She went from ranch to ranch asking for work. Some men refused because they believed a young woman could not handle hard labor. Others offered her work for almost no pay. Clara accepted every honest job she could find. She cleaned houses, washed clothes, cooked meals, gathered firewood, repaired fences, fed horses, planted vegetables, and carried heavy sacks whenever someone was willing to hire her. Her hands became rough and cracked, but she never complained. Every morning before sunrise, she prepared breakfast for Samuel and Noah, packed their lunches, and walked them to school. Then she worked until sunset. In the evening, she returned home exhausted, but she still cooked dinner and repaired whatever needed fixing. Samuel noticed how tired she was. One night he said, "Clara, you don't have to do everything yourself. I can leave school and work." Clara looked at him firmly. "No, Pa wanted you to learn. You're going to finish school." "But we need money," Samuel replied. Clara smiled sadly. "Then I'll work harder." Samuel lowered his eyes because he knew there was no changing her mind. Weeks passed, and winter arrived. Snow covered the roofs and turned the roads white. Clara's workload became harder because several ranch workers left town for warmer places, creating more jobs, but also more dangerous conditions. One afternoon, she was hired by a wealthy rancher named Daniel Whitmore to repair fences after a storm. Daniel was a tall, broad-shouldered man in his early 30s, with dark hair, gray eyes, and a reputation for being strict but fair. When he saw Clara carrying fence posts through the snow, he frowned. You shouldn't be doing this work, he said. Clara placed the post on the ground. Why not? Because it's too heavy. Clara looked him directly in the eyes. My family's hungry. Heavy doesn't matter. Daniel was surprised by her answer. He had heard stories about Thomas Hayes and knew the family had fallen on hard times. Instead of sending her away, he offered her regular work at his ranch. Clara accepted immediately. For the next several months, she worked harder than anyone expected. She woke before the ranch hands, prepared meals, cleaned the bunkhouse, fed animals, repaired clothing, and helped with fence repairs. Daniel slowly began noticing that Clara never asked for favors. She only asked for work. Whenever he tried to pay her extra, she refused. I earn what you're giving me, she would say. Nothing more. One evening Daniel found her sitting outside the kitchen with tears in her eyes. He asked what had happened. Clara quickly wiped her face. Nothing. Daniel sat beside her. You don't have to pretend you're made of stone. Clara stared toward the mountains. My father used to say that strength means taking care of the people who depend on you. I just wish he were here. Daniel did not know what to say, so he simply sat beside her in silence. From that day forward, he treated her with a different kind of respect. Spring eventually returned to Willow Creek. Clara had saved enough money to repair the roof and pay the store debt. She also bought new shoes for Noah and a school book for Samuel. When Noah received the book, he hugged her tightly. You're the best sister in the world. Clara smiled, but she knew she had not done enough yet. Her dream was to save enough money to buy a small piece of land so her brothers would always have a home. She began taking extra work whenever she could. One day, while repairing a fence far from the ranch house, Clara noticed a group of riders approaching. They were strangers, rough-looking men carrying rifles. Their leader was a man named Victor Crane, a land speculator known throughout the territory for forcing poor families off their property. Victor had heard that the Hayes family owned a small piece of land that was valuable because a new railroad route might pass nearby. He wanted that land cheaply. When Clara refused to sell, Victor laughed. Your father is dead. You're a young woman with 2 boys. You can't protect that property. Clara stood straight. Maybe I can't fight like you, Mr. Crane, but I can refuse to sign my name. Victor warned her that refusing him would bring trouble. Clara did not back down. That night she told Daniel what had happened. Daniel immediately became serious. Crane doesn't make empty threats. Clara looked worried. What should I do? Stay at the ranch for a few days. I can't abandon my home. Daniel shook his head. I'm not asking you to abandon it. I'm asking you to stay alive. Clara agreed temporarily, but she refused to give up her father's home. Victor's men began appearing near the property. Windows were broken. Fence posts were cut. One night someone set fire to the old shed. Clara and the boys managed to put it out, but Noah was terrified. Clara held him tightly and promised, no one is taking our home. Daniel arrived the next morning with several ranch hands. He repaired the fence and helped secure the property. Victor soon realized that Clara was no longer alone. But Clara understood that depending on Daniel forever was not the answer. She wanted to protect her family with her own strength. She went to the county office and discovered that her father had left legal ownership of the property to her. Victor had been trying to convince her that she had no rights, but he was lying. Clara gathered every document she could find and brought them to the sheriff. The sheriff agreed to investigate. Meanwhile, Clara continued working. Her courage inspired people in town. The same men who had once doubted her began respecting her. The local blacksmith gave her discounted tools. The shopkeeper forgave part of her old debt. A schoolteacher offered Samuel extra lessons. Even the ranchers began hiring Clara because they knew she was dependable. Months later, Clara had saved enough money to buy several acres of fertile land beside the creek. She planted wheat, corn, and vegetables and built a small chicken coop. Samuel helped with the farm after school, while Noah carried water and fed the chickens. Their home slowly changed. The broken roof was replaced, the walls were repaired, and the garden became full of flowers. One evening Clara stood beneath the same cottonwood tree where her father had been buried. She placed a small bouquet beside his grave. Pa, she whispered, I was scared when you left. I thought I couldn't do it. But I remembered what you told me. She looked toward the farmhouse where her brothers were laughing. I kept my word. Daniel stood a short distance away, giving her privacy. When Clara finished, she walked toward him. Thank you, she said. Daniel smiled. For what? For believing in me. Daniel shook his head. You never needed me to believe in you. You proved everything yourself. Clara smiled. Years passed, and the Little Hayes farm became one of the most successful small farms in the region. Samuel eventually became a schoolteacher, just as his father had dreamed. Noah became a skilled horseman and later worked with Daniel's ranch. Clara never forgot the years of struggle. She continued helping poor families in Willow Creek, especially widows and young women who had no one to support them. She knew what it meant to stand alone with an empty purse and a family depending on you. People in town eventually began calling her the woman who carried her family on her shoulders. But Clara never considered herself extraordinary. Whenever someone praised her, she simply smiled and said, "I only did what my father taught me." And every year on the anniversary of Thomas Hayes's death, Clara returned to the old cottonwood tree with her brothers. They would sit together beneath its branches and remember the man who had taught them that courage was not about being fearless. Courage was about moving forward even when fear was all you had. Clara had lost her father, her childhood, and many years of an easy life, but she had gained something stronger. She had discovered that a person's strength was not measured by how much money they possessed or how powerful they looked. It was measured by how much love they were willing to carry for others. And in the wide, unforgiving American West, where life could take everything from a person in a single day, Clara Hayes built a future with nothing but determination, hard work, and the promise she had made beside her father's grave.